Good morning, I'm here to talk about the paper I did together with two other people about enhancing food security through a multi-stakeholder process. And I did this paper with Jeroen Dijkman, or Jerome. He's working at the VAO, and Katrien de Meeuw is working at Leiden University, a public administration scholar. And it's we focus in this paper not so much on the technical issues of dealing with food security or dealing with food insecurities, but actually with more the process towards diffusing the ideas and the technical solutions we all have. At least there were really nice examples this morning throughout all kinds of different networks, but also at the same time collecting all kinds of problem definitions from grassroots level. How to do that? How, in what kind of way can you move forward in diffusing your ideas and collecting problem statements? And the need for an encompassing dialogue was born in more or less in 2008, 2007, 2008. When there was an attention to food security, but this attention was actually based on an accumulation of all kinds of alarm discoveries. Of course, food security is always on the agenda of international organizations, especially of the VAO, of course. But at that time, it was not only the technical problems that were at the agenda, but also the pressing governance issues. And by governments, I mean not only the things that were raised by governments, but also raised by NGOs and other stakeholder organizations and private companies as well. What they found out, what they actually were dealing with the problem of how to implement our good ideas when it comes from economic analysis, ecological analysis, environmental analysis, because there seems to be some kind of institutional voids. There are missing actors. They don't participate. How to involve them in our negotiations? There seem to be organizations missing, and also linking between, on the one hand, the global ideas of where to go and what to do when reaching 2050, and how to link that to real practice change in grassroots, on the grassroots level. So the need for an encompassing global dialogue was born, and especially focusing on livestock, sustainable livestock. And the idea of setting up this global dialogue materialized in what is called the Global Agenda for Sustainable Livestock. What is this agenda for sustainable livestock? It's a new type of governance arrangement. That is, there are all kinds of initiatives of roundtables and all kinds of committees. Well, Jess and David already talked about it, the committee. But this particular way of working was actually new to the VAO, in the way they were working thus far seemed to be well, delivering not the sufficient results, so they said we have to have a multi-stakeholder platform. And the key word on this platform, multi-stakeholder platform, is that they want to be as inclusive as possible. So everybody is welcome to participate. And this multi-stakeholder platform is organized one or two times a year, where around 130 people are invited. And the idea is that it is inclusive in the sense that inclusive to all kinds of ideas, plans and so on are welcome to express on these platforms to build up a shared understanding from what are the problems and what can we do about it, to build co-ownership and commitments to take actions together. And of course, in the end, to energize and take concrete actions together in real-life concrete projects on the grassroots levels. So how the dialogue works? Basically, this scheme says everything concerning the organization of this dialogue. It is based on the global multi-stakeholder platform, which meets every once or twice a year. And as you can see, there are 6 clusters of stakeholders, so it's much broader than only the governance, governments that are involved. And that is actually the basis that addresses a couple of issues that they also formulate together. So global food security and health, equity and growth, resources and climate. These are the things that are focusing on. And it is supported by a guiding group, which are chairing all these committees. And the support team is these are 3 guys from the FAO. And what they do actually, well, the main key element here is that this global multi-stakeholder is actually a very open multi-stakeholder platform. So everybody is welcome. So that gives a broad perspective of all kinds of problems that are around the globe. But the nice thing about this global platform is that once you want to do more and want to involve in concrete projects and also want to supply a project, then there is commitment within different targets groups, different focus groups. And the 3 focus groups they have been institutionalized now are closing the efficiency gap, which is doing, for instance, with manure issues, restoring value to grasslands, and waste to wharf. And from out this focus areas group, there's all kinds of pilot projects and multi-stakeholder platforms on regional levels being introduced and being formed. There are there are dozens of projects now being identified and also channeled through this multi-stakeholder platform. What we did in the paper is to assess the global agenda for sustainable livestock, because we were focusing on the process of how they are doing. So what we did, we defined food security as a wicked problem and said, well, you know, if you are dealing with a wicked problem, which is a policy term that says, well, you know, complex problems can be solved, but wicked problems cannot be solved, in the sense that they're always returning. So the first problem is that there's no definitive problem definition. So there's always another way of looking at the problem and defining the problem either as an environmental issue, as an ecological issue, as an economic distribution issue, and so on. So there is all kinds of different varieties of problem definitions. What you need to do there is to be reflexive to all these problem frames and problem discourses that are brought in on this multi-stakeholder platform. And what we see in the agenda is that because of this open dialogue, all kinds of surprising interactions and networks are being established. While doing some of the interviews, some of the short talks with the people that are participating, some of the people were saying, "Wow, I've never talked to people I've never talked before." There are people that are from pastoralist organizations that are talking to multinational companies. So that's a big win, I would say, about this dialogue. However, because of this open character of this platform, there's also a lot of diversity, which can lead to stalemates and inconclusive calls. Because if you keep on addressing new kinds of problem frames, then you will see that it is sometimes difficult to reach some consensus there. The second problem and capability that goes with it is that today's solutions are tomorrow problems. So if you solve something about raising, for instance, the production levels by intensification, then the problem of tomorrow will be that there is, for instance, a manure problem and a soil problem, nitrate overload. So what you need there is some resilience in your organization and a capacity to address to the changes and also see these new types of problems coming up while you thought you had a solution for that. So what are they doing in the agenda is that they're constantly changing the organization of the agenda setup and also the structure of how they are organized, and they create new networks all the time. And so new kinds of initiatives and linking partners with all kinds of different parties around the world, and also linking problems with people that were never talking before and also never have been working together before. However, the challenging thing there is that all these networks and the building of these relations don't come quickly. So you have to be patient, and that's difficult in this time in the show me world to have some effect and see what the results are of this building partnerships. The third problem that you are facing when you are dealing with wicked problems is an agenda overload. So you have endless demands of people that want to do something and want to pay attention to issues and solutions. Especially for people that are in a decision position, it's challenging to be responsive to all these demands and also wisely respond to what you want and what you don't want. Especially when you're in a government, in a public official, then there can be morality issues coming up because you have to choose between values from time to time. How they are doing that in the agenda? In the agenda itself, try to be responsive to pick up all the signals that are out there by connecting to projects and other initiatives that are on the way, and also sending messages to these networks about the ideas and the norms they are discussing on these platforms. So they are linking to many projects and organizations. But the challenging part here is again to be too over-responsive in the sense that you want to respond to everything at the same time, which also can lead to stalemates and problems in responding and also leading to impatience about the demands that are being carried forth in the discussions. The fourth problem, there's no final solution, so there are temporary solutions and stalemates, which needs a capability of revitalizing and unblock stagnations. How they work that out in the agenda is they are monitoring the discussions, and all the time the group that are chairing meet up regularly and try to have this culture of an open dialogue and don't play political games in this multi-stakeholder dialogue debates. Open for new ideas and inputs. Again, here the overload of new actors can mean that there are new potential blockades coming up, which means it's difficult to revitalize. A final problem or challenge is that you have to cross domains and cross boundary issues. Irrigation on one side can have an effect on water supply in other countries, in other domains, for instance. So what you need there is a capability to rescale, shifting between skills and domains, not only boundary skills but also policy domains. So the nexus between water, environment, agriculture, for instance, these are the cross-level shifting issues you have to deal with. And that is actually one of the biggest challenges at the moment at the agenda. There are regional initiatives, but multi-stakeholder involvement is something that we are used to in Western European and well, you know, the northern part of the world, more or less. But not all the governments that are not all the governments that are dealing with insecurity issues are able or willing to organize and work this way around with using multi-stakeholder dialogues. Conclusions and the road ahead. So the challenge is in the show me world to ask for quick results, especially companies are very impatient, but also scientists, I have to say. Why don't they pick up our solutions that quickly? Why are governments not doing that, or NGOs not picking up our results? So the challenging part is to take time and be patient in developing the debates and the discussions. The agenda moves forward through repeated small wins. It is sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And the facilitation, although everybody sees the importance of linking these global debates to practice change, is recognized, the facilitation remains difficult to get funded. So they're struggling always with budget shortages, but who doesn't, I would say then. And finally, does the agenda in the end enhance the food security? Enhance food security? Yes, I believe it does, but not in a straightforward way. It triples down. The biggest success, I would say, about these multi-stakeholder dialogues is that you build unexpected and new relations and new networks. And only when these are established and trust relations are there within networks, then you can move forward and have not quick results, but then you have results where you can work on. Thank you.